Guys, it is Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. on the West Coast, and we are live. Bill's not with us tonight, but I got an exciting guest co-host, and who helped me join me today on really short notice, less than a full day. So all I can say is welcome, adventurers. I'm your guide, Sean McZoo, and this is the Reptile Show Reporter. Buckle up, because it's time for this adventure to start. And then I got to put the music on, but I don't have it in my there we go. All right, I'm back. We're back, and I'm prepared at this point. So Tom Arbor, better known as True Turtle Tom, welcome.
Hey, Sean, how's it going? Look who just entered the chat.
Let's see. All right, what do we got here? All right. Wait a minute. What the heck? Bill, what are we doing? You're dancing. All right. Well, we'll go to someone who's more important. Liz Ann is here, so
he's dancing in the hot tub in Florida or something.
All right. James Cross is here. Mikey Ben. So
he's traveling.
I don't know. I know that using this thing on an iPhone is terrible. So we'll let you go this time, Bill. Because we know where you're going. You're going down to that famous thing in Orlando for all these creators that we didn't rank and have any have the rank. I guess I could have gone, but I decided.
Animal Con USA.
Right, exactly. So, all right. So our topic for tonight, we're going to talk about Reptile Shows Plus. What does that mean? It means there's a reptile show, and they add something on, a plant show, a bird show, fish show, whatever it might be. Yeah, he's going to hang out with the celebrities. I know, Bill. We know where you're rubbing it in. We're all hobnobbing with the celebrities, and I'll be here busy, probably doing jury duty as that's what next week might be. I have to call in every morning, every evening, starting Friday, to see if Cuyahoga County wants me to participate. I'm hoping they take one look at me and say, "Oh, that guy's not a good guy." He'll screw up the jury for sure. All right, first, Tom, any announcements, things that you got going on, things that are coming up?
We just released a new podcast today, the Let's Talk Turtles podcast, and we gave a shout out to you, Sean. So
we did. I'm going to have to listen then.
Give a listen. And
let's hope it was a positive shout out, but okay.
Totally, yeah. We actually talked quite a bit on today's episode about reptile shows. And Ryan, my co-host, is from Cincinnati. So we talked about the Cincinnati show a little bit. And we just talked about, whether or not Ohio can support a 2-day show. And then, we recorded this a month ago, but we didn't know at the time that the Cincinnati show was becoming a 2-day show. And it was a 2-day show, right? This past week, I think?
Well, I didn't go because my back was killing me and I couldn't drive that far. But yeah, it's a 2-day show. But I think what they're trying to do is test Saturdays because they're on Sundays normally. And if they test positive for Saturdays, they're not going to make it a 2-day show. They're going to go every other week. They're going to have 1 week Friday, 2 weeks later Sunday. That's the rumor I heard. I heard it from a good source, but I don't know what that means. I actually thought I talked to I didn't talk to the owner, but I talked to several of the vendors, and that was what but I talked to 5 or 6 different vendors, and I got different stories. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we'll see what happens. But I know I was heartbroken to miss it, but my back was so bad. I was laid up in bed, but I had to rest this weekend, and it's still hurting a little bit, but it's getting better every day. So I'm going to be off to Pittsburgh this weekend. It's an actual 2-day show that goes every 3 to 4 months. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But any other?
That's the news.
Anything like that? All right. So podcast 6 is live for the Reptile Show Reporter on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, iHeartRadio, and all the others. And I also definitely put this one on YouTube right away. I had a problem with the YouTube app because I loaded it up and I somehow in the middle I kept cutting it out before it got finally loaded up, and then you have to load the whole podcast again. So not like this other kind of the Restream or the Riverside app does it. It loads it in the background and doesn't do it. Does You don't have to be on it. So, but apparently it wasn't loaded in the background. So I had to do that 3 times last night. But I got it done this morning early, and yesterday morning. So we got it done. Social media pillars are still out there. I'm focusing on Instagram, but I continue to send them to our Facebook group. All right. Zoos, aquariums. What that was last week. I must have not have corrected the script here. I don't have much of script. I just have some notes, and that's the end of the notes. So I'll get rid of those. But these shows, these combine shows, what do you think?
I think it's a great idea. Okay. Why not make them bigger and more interesting? I love all organisms, right? So I love learning about fish. And, if I can go to a show where I'm unlikely to bring one of those animals home just because it's not in my bailiwick, but I can really look at it and have it be really interesting, I say, why not? So, I've been to bird shows before. I've been to different kind of all pet fairs, things like that. I'll take them all. I'll go to them.
Yeah, I think this one is going to be dangerous. The one in Pittsburgh this weekend. I've got a hotel room that's pet friendly, so I'm going to take my dogs with me. I'm not going to take them to the show. But it's a 2-day show. It's got reptiles, all kinds of reptiles, and fish, mostly saltwater type fish. And that's a danger zone because I got out of saltwater fish, mostly because I didn't have enough access to it, and I got into other things, and so that was a phase I went through. I don't know, 5 or 10 year phase. My brother's still doing the saltwater fish. He's about 4 years younger than me, and so it's dangerous. I know everything I need to know about saltwater. In fact, I know the ancient methods. I could probably do it, old school, but all these chillers and all the different things that they use nowadays to all the lights. I mean, I had some of the fancy lights, and that's why I knew a lot about lights for chameleons and other reptiles, is because I had all those fancy high powered lights for the fish, for the corals and everything like that. So it's a real dangerous show for me. But the good thing is I know that saltwater, you have to really cycle the tank. So I'm not going to cycle the tank. I don't have any, except for the turtles tank I have here. I don't have any water running anywhere in the house. So that would be, I guess, safe, but it might fire that up for the next time. So it's a little dangerous for me, but who knows? I'm trying to cut down my my volume of different things right now because I'm thinking about moving to a new location, and so anytime you want to move, you got to reduce your what do you call it? Your menagerie.
Your footprint.
My footprint, exactly. Yeah.
Reptilian.
2 of my kids have left the home, another one's on her way out. She's a senior in college, and there's only 2 kids left. So 3 out of 5 are on their way out the door. So I'm going to do a bigger footprint. It's a little backwards to the way people are. Most people downsize. I'm gonna actually evenly size the house and upsize the yard. So I guess that's a big positive. So
that sounds pretty fun, and I can't wait to hear, when you get a little closer, and, maybe you can share some of your stories about looking for houses and how they'll meet your needs.
Actually, my parents are moving out of their home next year. And so they're home, and it's in a perfect neighborhood. I could do everything I want. I can keep any animal, keep chickens. For some reason in Fairview Park, they don't allow chickens. I don't know why. It's, they allow all kinds of other things, but no chickens. So it's kind of crazy. So I don't even know if I want to keep chickens, but I really think those mini chickens are really cool. They keep posting them on different boards that I've seen. And I'm like, wow, I got to get some of those. I don't know why. I was tempted to.
They're mean.
Yeah.
They're mean,
I was tempted to get some and keep them in my basement, just because I have a big enough basement to do that. But
that's funny.
But I decided, you know what, I need to wait and see. So.
And when you're over on the east side, you will be much closer to the Pittsburgh show.
Yes, and the Hold'em Arboretum as well.
And the Hold'em Arboretum, so you'll have to come visit.
On the other side of the what do you call it? Your other place. what's it called?
Botanical Garden.
Botanical Gardens.
Yeah.
I'll be on the other side, but closer probably. But
Yeah.
over there in Orange, Ohio. So
Yeah.
but
So the
but
Pittsburgh Mega Reptile Expo, that's where you're headed this weekend, right?
yes. God willing, and the back don't rise up. I
Yeah.
don't know. I think usually they say the creek don't rise, but my back has been issues for me. I don't know. I'm getting older and getting broke more, but no. This is my right side of my back flared up about a month ago and caused me to miss a show, and this is the left side, so it's kind of like, not that you need to know more than that, but it radiates all the way down my leg. It's sciatica, so it's kind of, you can't drive, you can't do anything, and driving is something that makes it terrible. So it's an issue, but we'll live with it. But I am definitely going because I got a hotel room set out and I got plans, and that was one of the reasons why I was resting up this week. I was going to go down to my aunt's and stay with her in Dayton, but go to Cincinnati for both days. But I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go the next week to Pittsburgh, which, being a Cleveland Browns fan, it's the worst place to go in the world. But
especially because they are playing the Steelers, but it's Monday night. So.
All right, so it's next Monday night. Yeah, so it must be next week.
Yeah, it's the day after the show.
The day after I leave, right? Okay, so that's good. All right, so I'll be out of there. I'll have no footprint left. There'll be no signs of me there when they enter. So
that's good. Yeah.
So, yeah, well, I don't even know the schedule.
And so one of the things that I noticed about this show, Sean, is that it bills itself as one of the largest hot friendly shows in the Northeast.
Yes. So
look out.
Venomous. You'd think in Pennsylvania they let you do a lot less than they do in Ohio, and you'd think the Venomous show would be in Ohio, not Pennsylvania, but I guess we'll see. I will not come home with the Venomous kids. No way, no how. There's just no reason to have a I mean, I know people can have them, and I'm okay with people who know what they're doing having them. One, I don't know what I'm doing. Two, I mean, I know how to treat people if I had the anti-venom, but most of us don't have the right anti-venom unless it's something that's at the zoo locally. And but that's crazy. It's something that can actually kill you with a bite, or at least make you miserable, or lose a limb, or what have you. It just makes it seem a lot more dangerous, than putting my finger in the Chihuahua cage and giving them their soft food, and they try to nip me on my way out. And they do that. My male does it every time. So he somehow finds a way to find him around me, and I have to keep looking for him. He catches me off guard, but that stings for about 0.2 of a second. And just as it's just the, hey, hello kind of thing. But a sting that goes on and on forever, I don't know, but I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna check it out, and I've got 2 days. Unfortunately, at least as last time I checked, I actually emailed the show people. You can't get the tickets in advance. Like, I have Tinley tickets in advance. I just got them today. I got Tinley VIP tickets, so I get to go on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so, but the tickets are about the same price for VIP, but you have to get them at the door. It seems strange. So I know they have this online tickets coming soon on their ad. I kept seeing it month after month and month. I'm like, I got to email these guys and see what's going on. And they said, well, you can get them at the door. I'm like, that's not online, but it's okay. But there's no savings either way, so that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I've never the biggest show that I've been to really was the Phoenix Reptile Show, the Mesa Reptile Show, and what I would be really interested to learn is how crowded this show is going to be, being one of these bigger 2-day shows.
I'm going to be taking pictures and video, everything. I'll be talking to people. I'll be collecting cards and handing out my cards. So we'll see how that goes. This will be a first new show. Well, actually, I went to Cincinnati. It was the first time I was ever at that one last month. But it's probably a much bigger show because Cincinnati was just a ballroom of a hotel, of a Holiday Inn, plus the hallway to it. So it's big enough. I mean, it's about the same size as Cleveland and Columbus, but it's still not a huge show. So this is at it. I was actually there a couple months ago when the weekend after the show was there, but the signs were still up. And so I followed the signs to get to the show, and I'm like, oh, it's not open. But it was a huge building and had all kinds of signage to it. And so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. And what's a marine show like? I mean, they talk about coral, but can you bring fish to a show?
Absolutely.
I've never been to a fish
I
show.
mean, you like it's just like anything else. You just put them in their bags and you take them and you put them and you probably there's probably a little bit of this is what we have, this is what it's like, and I can give you so I could send them to you because you can ship
Mhm.
saltwater fish. I
Yeah.
I had a friend, actually one of my closest friends in medical school who knew a import or exporter out of Philippines, and so we used to get like go to the airport and pick up a whole box of random fish. And he
Yeah,
would send
that's
us
cool.
everything. I mean, I had all kinds of stuff, Australian Clarkies, stuff that I this was like,
Wow.
and they were dirt cheap back then for us, and it was like incredible, and I had no idea what I was getting. Not only was it a surprise, it was like Christmas opening presents, but it was also a surprise at how much when I started to look at it, when exporter went away, I started to look at the prices, and I'm just like, wow, these
You were
prices are incredible. I can't believe I had all these things.
yeah, you're getting
It's
them
just like, wow.
wholesale.
Yep.
Now that's really interesting. So, I have a question for you.
Sure.
When you go to one of these new shows,
Mhm.
do you kind of scope it out and create a strategy of how you're gonna move through the different tables, or do you just kind of feel it out and see what happens?
This is one of those shows that's bigger, and I don't think I've ever gone to a much bigger show that I've never been to before. But I'm going to be there for 2 days. It's only 2.5 hours from my home, so
Mhm.
this is less distance than the Cincinnati show. So I can go back, but it's only every 3 months or so. So it's one of those things where, oh, so Zev Green Reptiles is here, and Jennifer A. Happy Wednesday. I forgot to mention her. But I don't know what I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna scope it out the first day, just walk through and just kind of meander through and meander around and get a feel of the land and see what's like. Most of the shows that I've been going to have enough room you could walk around, and we usually end up getting there a little later in the day. So some people have gone through, which is not good for if you want to get feeders or things that are limited supply. But I'm just there to get meet people and make connections and see what I can do and hopefully not to buy anything. So it's my parents' home is in Orange, so it's on the way there. So I can't.
Oh,
I don't think that they're willing to keep anything I need, but or want to keep. But so dropping it off would be a little early for a year ago from now. So, but no, it's one of those deals that just to be closer. So, I guess so. I'm going to scope it out the first day, the first half hour. I walk around, I mill around, see what's going on, check things out, see what I find interesting, and I wait till somebody's alone without a customer, and I start talking to them. And I go to the big booths, the small booths. I don't really whatever's open and able to be at. I probably spend less time at the busiest booths because I don't want to interrupt their sales because that's what they're there for. But and it's funny because this one I don't know if I'm going to be going to it every 3 months or whatever. I know the Cincinnati one I'm going to keep going to. I know all these other shows I'm going to go to from frequently. But this will be a pre-Tinley for me because I've never been to the
yeah.
Tinley show. So I'll go to this, check it out, see what it's like, and then go to the Tinley show. Probably the same plan of action. So I don't know. What do you do when you go to a new show?
I'm I'm pretty systematic.
Mhm.
I'm going to start one place and then
Mhm.
go up that aisle and then turn around and go down the other side of the aisle and kind of zip up and down and really just get the lay of the land and see who's
Mhm.
there and
Mhm.
see where I might want to go back
Mhm.
for sure. It's I like a show that has the space to be able to do that.
Mhm.
Um, the Phoenix Reptile show, one pass, and I just wanted to go home. Quite frankly, it was just so busy.
Act, right.
It was really you. If you saw something you wanted, you stopped, you would buy it, and then you would get back on the conveyor belt that everybody else was on. And I mean, it
Like
was
at the
that
airport.
crowded. Yeah, I mean, it was crowded. So for me, I don't know. I'm claustrophobic maybe, but I'm a pretty systematic guy, and I like to get that big overview, and then I'm gonna pick out the people who I want to go back, maybe talk to. Of course, I'm looking for turtles.
Mhm.
I'm looking for tortoises. I love amphibians, so I'm
Mhm,
looking for anybody that's breeding their own stuff.
mhm,
I'm looking for people that have interesting things to me,
mhm.
rare, unusual animals. I skip by the snakes, unfortunately, pretty
It's like
pretty
60 or
quickly.
80% of the some of the shows.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So a lot of that in a reptile show for me is just like, okay, snakes next. I mean, if they have some interesting snakes,
Mhm,
maybe, but if they're the typical things, then I'm just gonna keep going looking for the turtles.
mhm. So I would say that I would like to be like that. I would love to be the person who goes systematically, goes one row up there, down there. I am not like that. I don't. I cannot get. I'm flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah.
90 miles an hour to one to the other, then back and over, and I'll check that one later. Or I'm a little impatient when it comes to if I want to see a table and there's a bunch of people around there, I'll go to the next one and find another table. Then I'll come back to that. So my path doesn't look like I've planned it out, but actually in my head I'm still thinking, going to come back to this, going to do this, going to do this, and I'm trying to get. And now that I'm doing this thing with the Reptile Show Reporter, I'm trying to get people that people would find interesting, people that are unique, people that are new, so that I can talk to new people who've been there for a long time, so I can talk to them. And so I'm bouncing back and forth a lot.
Mhm.
Some of the shows are a lot smaller, so that I can do. It's kind of like you feel like you walk in and you know everybody, and everybody knows your name, kind of like Cheers. But it's it's like that. It's some of the smaller shows, but these bigger shows, it's strange. But I'm going to see what happens. It's going to be
Yeah.
a free for all, fun time. I'm going to take Jen and I are going to take Abigail, our daughter, who's
Mhm.
wheelchair bound, and I think we're going to take Mary, our youngest,
Mhm.
and that all four of us will be there, and we'll be scoping it out. And Mary will go off on her own and look for things that she wants me to buy her, and which is she's a senior now in high school, so she'll be leaving and going to a dorm room next year, probably at
Yeah.
Bowling Green. But it's one of those things where she's not going to have this pet for unless it dies in less than a year, which like rats are kind of like that. But they live a couple years. But she'll find something she wants, and we'll have to say, yeah, no, no, you can't have this. And you've gotten, 3 years ago it wasn't like that. It was like, okay, you got 3 years before you go off. We could probably manage it afterwards, but we can't buy it. But she bops from place to place. Jen checks out all the other stuff, the jewelry, the that might be related to snakes, that skins that they put into jewelry and all
Oh,
this other
interesting.
stuff. And she's got, she was the one who was really into geckos. Although I'm the one that purchased them, so she was looking at them, and of course she liked the Leachianus geckos. That's how she, not a small price. She didn't like the small price, the cresteds or anything. She wanted Leachianus. We decided on Chihuahua because they were a little less expensive and a little more accessible. So and they had brighter, more brilliant colors. So, but
Mm.
anyways, so we're gonna go. We'll split up. I'll be, Abigail's the wheelchair. It's a good opportunity for me to. She's got all kinds of hooks on the chair. I can put all kinds of stuff that I buy and don't have to actually carry it around. So she does her part as well. So and she's happy and she loves the show. She loves the noise. She loves all that commotion.
Yeah.
So it's really good. So we can take her there and she'll be
Great.
very happy. So it's a great thing for our family. It's a thing that we do and we enjoy. And I'm trying not to buy as much stuff so that I can go
Yeah.
to more shows because when you go away for a couple days, you got to figure out how to take care of your reptiles. A 3 day away
Yeah.
when you're there day one and you're there back day three. That's really only one day gone. That's not that hard. But
Yeah.
when you're gone for Tinley might be a little more challenging because I've got 3 days there, and so it might be because it's about 5.5 hours for me, and depending on traffic, it could be 10 hours because Chicago's traffic.
We went out just about a year ago. We drove out, and fortunately, I did not have to drive. One of my coworkers drove, and it's you forget how close it is
Mm-hmm.
when you can
It's
just
a
pick up in the car and drive there in an
Yeah, it's a
evening. Really,
beautiful city. But it's very dangerous. It's a bit very busy traffic, and you have to go through Indiana, where every Indiana policeman thinks that Ohio people need a ticket.
Yeah.
And so no matter what you do, they find something wrong if you have an Ohio plate. So you want to like put an Indiana plate. Now I know that's illegal just to get through the city.
And
I'm welcome to Indiana. I'm here
Yeah.
for I'm here for good, but my license plate haven't gone up. Whatever. But
that's funny. And of course, so I know when I was driving through Indiana a lot, one thing that they have that we don't have is unmarked cars.
mhm.
In Ohio, there's a state law that says any police car that's doing traffic enforcement has to be clearly marked.
Mhm.
Not in India, they don't have that law, or at least they didn't used to.
Right. Yeah, though that's it's weird how the different states have those different laws,
Yeah,
even though we're one country. But
yeah.
I guess that
Well,
makes us unique. We could be if we were Europe, we'd be 50 different countries. So it's
for sure. And one reptile show that just happened that a lot of my friends went to is the Daytona show.
hmm
And that's the one I really want to go to because that is the turtle show, of any reptile show in the country. The
Daytona, huh?
yeah, the promoter is a
hmm
person named Wayne Hill,
hmm
and he is Mr. Turtle.
hmm
And he breeds I don't know how many dozens and dozens of turtle species, but
hmm
there's a whole area called Turtle Island where all the
Wow.
different turtle vendors are.
Wow.
So, and then attached to the show, Russ Gurley, he helps organize
Mhm.
talks about turtles. So Friday night, you can fly into Orlando, rent a car, drive about an hour, see Turtle Talks Friday night. This year, they actually had Eric Good, uh,
Wow.
the publisher of the Tiger King series, or the director and producer of it, and supposedly they are filming for the Lizard King
Mhm.
movie, um, and Eric had a camera crew
Wow.
at Daytona at his talk.
Mhm.
So for Turtle Night, yeah, if you went to see it, they were filming Eric give a talk and
Mhm.
filming the audience. So some of
Wow.
my friends might
Could have
be
been famous,
appearing in the
right?
Lizard King.
Yeah, I would get my footage cut, but as always, that's the way that goes for me. But so, how often is a Daytona show? A couple
Once
times
a
a year?
year.
Or
Once a year.
once a year,
Yeah.
just once.
Yep.
What? So it's obviously in July, August, September, something like that, or
Yeah, so it's in August. I think it was
August,
like
August.
August 18th ish, something like that. Yeah. 18th, 19th, and 20th it was this year. Um,
So
yeah.
it's really cool and comfortable in Florida,
Yeah.
August 18th. So I'm
Well,
sure that was pleasant.
it's right on
Hot
the
anyway,
beach. It's
right?
literally right on the beach.
Yeah, you have to get
It,
into be wearing a swimsuit in that weather, but
yeah. It's like at the Daytona
mhm,
Convention Center,
mhm.
and the Convention Center hotel is a beachfront hotel.
Wow.
So you literally stay
Mhm,
in like a beach type condo hotel
mhm.
and walk down, check out some reptiles for a little bit, go out, hang out on the beach.
So are the rooms pet friendly? That's what I need to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure
Well, they
lots of
probably
people
are
bring their
not because
reptiles, but uh,
the Tinley show is actually the hotel is not pet friendly, and the
interesting.
hotels that are near the Pittsburgh show aren't pet friendly. But
Yeah.
so I'm gonna have to stay a little bit further out.
Mhm.
But I found some hotels. More and more hotels are pet friendly. But I'm gonna take the little puppies with me, because they'd be bored and they'd be they're not destructive like the huskies, but they like to be. They'd love to be destructive, but they're not as big and not as strong. So they're easier to keep. So
I'm sure you could find some place in the Daytona beach area that's pet friendly.
yep, I'm sure we could.
Yeah.
Then we'd have to
So
drive down, I
yeah,
guess.
that it's a haul, but that
Yeah.
of any so I do want to go to Tinley, so
Mhm,
hopefully I can make it in the spring.
mhm.
This fall I'm headed on October 9th down to Alabama, and I can't make Chicago the weekend before because I'm leaving early Monday morning to go
Mhm.
to Alabama, but hopefully next spring I can go. And then, yeah, next August, I really want to go to Daytona.
So Narbeck's got another show in Chicago as well.
The
That
Schwamberg
Yeah, it's supposed to
show.
be a little bit smaller and newer,
Yeah.
but and I don't know. Actually, uh, who was there? Dave Kaufman was there
Yeah.
at the show
Yeah.
videoing it, and so, but we'll see. That's going to be twice a year as well, so I think there'll be 4 times a year there. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens, and if it's the same vendors or same company, so we'll see if it's the
Yeah.
same vendors or what have you. But
Yeah.
gives you another option,
They must not have been able to get Tinley, that
Mhm.
venue, 4
Right?
times a year, but they could get this other one or something.
Right. Yeah, or
Um,
it's a smaller show. I don't know. We'll have to figure out what it is, but I
um,
have to figure out. But they
my
don't
my
actually give a good inclination as to what they're about over there. But
I think it was last summer. It was the Schwamberg show. It was like the first time they had it,
I don't
and
know. I know
yeah,
that they had it this summer.
yeah,
6 months
and
ago.
my
So.
parents
Mhm.
they went to a conference, and I'm like, well, where are you going? They're like, it's this place called Schwamberg. I'm like, that's like literally they went the weekend after the Reptile show. They had their conference at that same
Wow,
venue, so
that's interesting.
I was kind of jealous. I
Hmm.
wanted to go early, but
Hmm.
um, you know, you got to balance that. Your family, obviously, you've got a good thing going. Your family enjoys going to these
Hmm.
shows. My kids, they like it for about 30 minutes and then they kind of get overwhelmed, quite frankly. Um, they're at the point where it's very difficult for them to like not want to take a reptile home.
Hmm.
So that's why you usually just see me there.
That's why when I bring Mary, it's not just a reptile. It could be a reptile, it could be an amphibian, it could be a
Yeah.
rat, a mammal, it could be a hedgehog. She's got diverse tastes, but it's always expensive and something that we're gonna eventually have to take care of. So I'm looking at the hedgehog here down here, right in front of me. Good
Oh,
that
that's
she
funny.
does take care from time to time, but Jennifer makes sure that the reptile that the all of her pets stay alive. But yeah, and we went to a show and we got 2 rats there. We're supposed to be all females that we had gotten. We just stuck with females. I don't know. We started with females. We stuck with females. We went to a show and a couple months ago. I won't even tell you what show, but I got him. We got to end up getting a male, and so she got attached to the male. So we had to get a cage that was double, that was up and down, so it wouldn't have any breeding, so we wouldn't continue the line. So, but she's like, I don't think this is a female, Dad. I'm like, whoa, I agree, but apparently it wasn't old enough to show. So it's like one of those
Wow.
crazy things. I mean, but
Yeah.
he was, the guy that sold them to us was actually selling them as feeders. He wasn't selling them as pets per se, but there's no difference between a rat feeder and a pet per se. It's just kind of just the way they take care of them and how fast they breed them or what have you. But there's no real difference, so it's a good way to get them. But it was quite the situation. So it cost a whole lot of money to get a one of those top of the line cages, but because the males kept we actually got another male eventually. The males kept getting out of their cage, and so it was like we need to get something for them that keeps them in. So we got the good one. So
Were some lucky rats if they were destined to be feeders.
yes, they were very lucky rats, right? Exactly.
Wow.
I mean, but I know he said that about 50% of the rats he sells don't end up being feeders. That people don't want to feed them or what have you, or to fit. Maybe I think more accurately, he says 50% of the people he sells to, the live rats, don't use them for feeders. But he's got the frozen that you thaw, and of course, obviously, use those as feeders because there's no other place to put them. But which I don't. I actually don't like feeding live stuff to anything. Bugs, I guess I feed live, but all the snakes that I have or anything else like the tegus and what have you, frozen and thawed and let them have it. So, but I just don't think it's not safe for them, and I don't know. I'm just not a part of that, tear it up kind of game. I don't like to see all that stuff, and I know what happens in the wild, and I can't control that, and that's the circle of life. So, but I don't want to be part of that. I'd rather just euthanize them and feed them out that way. So I don't know.
Understandable. Yeah. Well, what other shows do you have on your list?
What other shows do I have on my list? I don't actually know. I was told there's a show in Indiana, in Indianapolis, that's huge. And Indianapolis is not too far from here; it's 4 or 5 hours, but that's huge. It was from somebody at the Cincinnati show who was just there for the first time, and he said, "Oh, you got to go to the show in Indianapolis." So I'm going to check that out. I'm making a bigger and bigger circle. As once I've gotten to a couple shows, I'll make a bigger and bigger circle. I need to get to I need to get up to the what do you call it, the Reptarium up in Michigan. That's
You do.
that's I mean I just got to get there. I'm actually I bought a bunch of T-shirts and I'm supporting it, but I got to get there and check that out because it's a zoo type thing, but it's a kind of like a petting zoo. And but it's strange because it's kind of like the aquarium. You get, like, if you're not a member, you get a time, an hour to start, and you finish at some point. It's kind of But when I went to the aquarium, I got the yearly membership, so it was like you could go in anytime. You don't have to call ahead and do that.
So we've been to the Reptarium twice now. That's how much we liked it.
Okay.
Great grandma lives in Detroit.
There you go.
So shout out to Grandma Jean. She's 97.
Wow.
And so we go see her and visit her. And then we go to the Reptarium. And what's so great about it, it used to just be you buy a ticket and it was open the whole night. That was pre-COVID. COVID hit really quickly. And then they would sell you a time slot, which is great because you go in, you go for an hour. It is like visiting someone's personal reptile collection and just hanging out there and having fun for an hour. It's really, really fun. And that's enough time for the kids to see everything. And, then it ends and then it's time to go. There's no ifs, no arguments about I want to stay longer, I want to see more things. No, you don't have that option. So we love it, but I would go because when they open up the bigger one across the street, they're going to close the smaller one, and I'm not sure what the model is going to be across the street. So try to get up there if you can.
I just can't go somewhere every weekend. It's one of those things where it's
yeah, totally.
I work Monday through Friday on jobs that aren't an 8-hour job. So and so I even do some of the stuff at night. So and just to be able to do the weekends and have a weekend off from time to time. I actually try to do 3 weekends a month, or 5, 4 if it's a 5-weekend month. So I try to do that, just to take one weekend off and just have the whole weekend off and what have you. But then you have to do family things too as well with the extended family, because my parents are still here and getting up in age, and her parents are still here and getting up in age. So we got to stop by and see them from time to time. But it's great to get to these things. So. All right, I think we're approaching about 40 minutes. I'm going to have a whole lot to talk about next week. But
Sounds
Tom,
good.
I appreciate you being here.
You're welcome.
And I thanks to everyone who's here, and we'll see you next week. And we're going to be talking about the Pittsburgh Mega Show.
Thanks, Sean.